Hey everybody, welcome back around to the blog and grill. I am your host Doug here with your video blog for March 9th, 2015. We are now just under a week away from Selection Sunday. We will have a lot of NCAA tournament coverage today. We'll also talk NFL free agency, NASCAR at Vegas, and your New York sports update. But let's lead off with some NCAA tournament as four more teams have now clinched a berth into the NCAA tournament, as we will have North Florida out of the Atlantic Sun, Coastal Carolina out of the Big South, a very good team in Northern Iowa out of the Missouri Valley, and Belmont upsets Murray State in the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament. And the thing we're going to get to now is I want to talk the case for Murray State. The Murray State Racers, of course, came into the tournament 16-0 in conference play, really looking to solidify a decent berth in the NCAA tournament. And what it came down to was now Joe Lunardi, Joey Brackets, in his Bracketology, now has Murray State, the Racers, out of the conference, out of the NCAA tournament right now. And I think this is surprising. This team came in 25th in the country, and really what happens often is when we have an upset, the bubble basically shrinks one. So what we saw here was Murray State getting kicked off, and they have 27 wins, okay, so they won a lot of games. They do have two very bad losses. They got blown out at home against Valparaiso and lost on the road at Xavier, but then they ripped off a ton of games in a row. They at one point won... They at one point ran off about 25 games in a row, so that was very impressive for this team. This team was a team that was 2-4 at one point, and they finished 27-5, so they ripped off a bunch in a row. And I think this team should be in the tournament. And if you want to put them in as a 12, I'm fine with that. Put them in as a 12, make them play in one of the play-in games, or one of those first-round games, and see if this team can make a run. But I think Murray State deserves to be in the tournament, but I think they need to prove themselves if they want to get into that second round. I'd put them a 12 seed in a play-in game. We'll crown 3 more champions tonight from the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. That'll be Manhattan and Iona going at it. We'll also have the Colonial Athletic with Northeastern and William and Mary playing. And then finally in the Southern Final, we'll have an 11-21 team, the 10 seed out of the SoCon, taking on the number 1 seed in that tournament, Wofford. That will be tonight, and we will discuss more bracketology as we move forward this week. And I will start to discuss my top seeds and who I think will make a deep run in the tournament. All right, let's get to NFL free agency. The big move of the day yesterday was Ndamukong Suh, now the highest paid defensive player in the National Football League. He will be making $114 million, $60 million now guaranteed. It was originally $56. Now that is up to $60. The Dolphins now have a very good pass rush, but I worry about Suh with so much guaranteed money. I would have liked to see them guarantee about 40% of that rather than around 52 to 54%. I would have liked to see that down just a little bit. I think there's a little too much baggage with Suh, and he could get himself into trouble. I would have dropped the guaranteed money down to around probably somewhere in the $45 to $48 million range, and we would have got to see what he could do and if he can stay out of trouble. And I think if he can stay out of trouble, he is going to be a difference maker on this team. But it puts him into another position where they have to figure out what they're going to do at the end of the season when Ryan Tannehill comes up for free agency. So that's going to be something to watch as well as we move forward. But the Dolphins now, I think, are the second best team in that division, with the Jets and the Bills both having questions at quarterback. The Jets might not have questions soon, though. Brian Hoyer is set to make a decision tomorrow whether he will sign with the Texans or the Jets. I think it's going to be an important move, definitely. Geno Smith, I think, is the guy in New York right now. And Ryan Mallett just signed a 2-year, $7 million deal with the Texans. We'll see what Hoyer does. I think it'll be interesting if he decides to go to the Jets. I think with Brandon Marshall there now, that's a more appealing location. You have Brandon Marshall. You have Eric Decker. Mind you, he did have good weapons in Cleveland with Josh Gordon and Jordan Cameron, so we'll see what he can do with that. But Brian Hoyer is set to make a decision tomorrow, and I think eventually he will pick the Jets because he's going to pick the glamour team. or the Glamour City. Another free agent will be on the move tomorrow, likely. Jeremy Maclin will sign a multi-year deal, getting paid about $11 million a year. He will be heading back with Andy Reid to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's a good move for the Chiefs. They need more weapons on the outside, as a wide receiver did not catch a touchdown pass for them last year. Alex Smith's a capable quarterback if he has weapons, and we'll see what he can do, but I'm going to be excited to see what happens with this team and what Andy Reid does, but Jeremy Maclin set to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. NASCAR was at Las Vegas. Kevin Harvick picking up his first win of the year, and now we have 3 different winners so far this year in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, as Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and Jimmy Johnson all with wins. And if we look at the chase standings right now, as they stand right now, Junior's in 4th, Truex Jr. is in 5th, Allmendinger 6th, Kane 7th, Hamlin 8th, Mears 9th, Kenseth 10th, Biffle 11th, Newman 12th, Menard 13th, Boyer 14th, Almirola 15th, and Brad Keselowski wraps it up in 16th place. The guy who's definitely not running very well right now, 2 guys, Tony Stewart 32nd in points, and Jeff Gordon right now 29th in points after he got caught up in another wreck yesterday with Jeb Bush. Next week they will be at Phoenix, so that should be a good race for Jeff if he can get back going. And usually a guy that runs good there also is Kevin Harvick. Time for your New York sports update. According to a Philly source, the Yankees are the closest team to acquiring Cole Hamels. In a quote, he said, offering a package of prospects that at least has given the Phillies a baseline for future talks. And the word on the street from Yankee camp today is that we will get a look at a possible opening day starting lineup for the New York Yankees, and that's going to be something to watch as well, as that's exciting for this team, as the Yankees still have a lot of questions about what their lineup will look like, what their team is going to look like. So let's just take a look at this lineup, and Andrew Marchand is the one that brought this up. Then we'll have a little bit more information on stuff moving forward with this team. So the opening day lineup that they're proposing right now looks like this. Let's take a look here. Ellsbury leading off in center, Gardner in left, Beltran in right, Teixeira at first, McCann catching, Headley at third, A-Rod at DH, Drew at second, and Gregorius at shortstop. So that gives you a very interesting lineup with 3 switch hitters, a righty, and 4 left-handed, 5 left-handed bats. So that's going to be something to watch there. And we'll see what happens with this team, but it's going to be exciting to see what goes on with the Yankees. And the other big news they had today was that Masahiro Tanaka will make his first spring training start on Thursday. Your New York sports schedule for tonight: Knicks are in Denver taking on the Nuggets. That game will tip around 9, and the Islanders to go on the road to take on the Maple Leafs at 7 o'clock. Just want to talk about one guy real quick. Guy commented on my video of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, Robert Johnson. Thank you for the comment, of course. But when you're just going to comment MMA is better than boxing, I don't think I was necessarily making a case that MMA was better than, or boxing was better than MMA. I don't talk about MMA ever. I do talk about boxing. But if you're going to make a comment, just make a smart comment. Don't make an MMA is better comment and just move on. Give me a reason. Give me a thought. Don't just leave that. And thanks for tuning into the blog. You can follow me on Twitter at YankeeBaller415. You can also check me out on SportsMindedNews.com. You can comment, question, subscribe to my page. Thanks for tuning into the blog, Andrew. I will be back on Wednesday as we will talk more tourney, NFL, and Yankee camp. I will see you then. Have a great week.